Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We have commenced considering the fourth Niyama called Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is primarily shastradhyanam. And although we have lost the traditional academics for quite some time now, and there is hardly any chance of its revival in near future, yet we are not deprived of gist of all the shastras, Veda shastras, Vedopayogi shastras, through whatever is available to us in the form of Itihas and Purana. Itihas Purana is essence of all wisdom of Vedas, timeless wisdom of Vedas, Vedanta, and those Shastras, Vedanga, Upaveda, Upavedanga. So all those Shastras are condensed into Itihas and Purana, and Itihas Purana is available to mankind. There is no barrier at all. Like in case of Vedadhyanam, there is a barrier that one should be twice born. But for Itihas Purana, that is not the case. And Itihas Purana has opened out the entire wisdom treasury. The Itihas is not just history. We don't just want history. There are so many things which must not be remembered, and there are certain things which must not be forgotten. So primarily Itihas contains all that which is worth forgetting but should not be forgotten, worth remembering and which should be remembered. And basically the Itihas that has come to us as one of the Dashavidyas. That Itihasa means Dharmartha Kama Mokshanam Upadesha Samanvitam Purva Vrittam Katha Yuktam Itihasa Prachakshate. So this is one of the definitions of Itihasa, that it is going to mention about Dharmartha Kama Moksha Upadesha. This is invaluable for mankind. So it contains what is invaluable for mankind. And Purva Vrittam Katha Yuktam, also it is Katha, therefore like a story, therefore interesting to mankind. It is not like Shastras. Many of the Shastras are not interesting to mankind, but whereas the essence of Shastras comes in the form of Itihasa, is Katha Yuktam. It is of the nature of stories which always interests human mind. That is called Itihasa, is one of the definitions that we get about Itihasa. So Dharmartha Kama Mokshanam Upadesha Samanvitam Purva Vrittam Katha Yuktam Itihasa Prachakshate. And therefore Itihas is a great resource. It is not just history that we are used to. The history doesn't give us the wisdom which will circumscribe Dharmartha Kama Moksha Purusharthas. It might just give an account of what our ancestors did and what our previous generations did. And the Itihas of our times is more under the influence of political aspects. The politics of 100 years back, 200 years back, 300 years back, the rulers of 200, 300, 500, 1000 years back. That is what the history is telling us today. It only mentions the records of rulers, governors, administrators, the emperors, the kings, etc. Whereas our Itihasa, which we find in Shrimad Ramayana and Shrimad Mahabharata, is not just record of the dynasties, but it gives us dharmartha kama moksha related wisdom. So that is what is Itihas, where today we only have Shrimad Ramayana and Shrimad Mahabharata, and that is ocean of wisdom. That is ocean of values for conduct of life. Then the Puranas. The Puranas are not just mythology. It's not just body of myths. It should not be translated as mythology, because mythology is derived from the word myth. It is inflection of the word myth. And what we have in Puranas is not a myth. It is Purana. It is always fresh. Although very old, it is also ever new. Pura Nava. Two words come in here, Pura and Nava, and the combination is Purana. So Purana also has wisdom ocean. So Puranas are defined as Sargascha, Pratisargascha, Desha Manvantaranicha, Vanshanucharitam Chaiva Purana Panchalakshanam. So those are the 5 characteristics of Purana. Sargascha, Pratisargascha, Manvantara. So this is what we find in our Puranas, where we get stories about Purva Manvantaras, Purva Kalpas. Say for instance, the previous Kalpa called Padmakalpa. The Puranas contain some historical records of Purva Kalpa, that is Padmakalpa. Now Padmakalpa is something that happened in a remote past, because the present Kalpa called Shvetavaraha Kalpa is now 192 crores of years, that is 1920 million years. And then the Purva Kalpa had a long deluge phase of 4,320 million years. And Padmakalpa was before that. So 4,320 plus 1,950, so many years. So nearly about 6 billion years back was the time of Padmakalpa, and Puranas mention about certain episodes and happenings which have great value for conduct of life even today. So such remote history, something which is of the order of 6,000 million years ago, is available through Puranas. Now, even the earth is said to be not more than 4,500 million years old, but human history extends beyond the history of this planet. This Prithvi of the solar system is only 4,500 million years ago. It doesn't mean that the mankind did not exist before that. Mankind did exist before that. Mankind has been eternal being, as it has been postulated in metaphysics. So, the Earth-like planet was somewhere else, and mankind inhabited that planet, and Padmakalpa has records of that time even. Anyway, so Sarga and Pratisarga. Sarga means Srushti Krama, and Pratisarga means in that creation there is life, botanical life to subhuman life to human life to superhuman life, describing their sthiti, their state, their protection, their preservation is called Pratisarga, as to how the life was preserved. So let me tell you, the life was preserved even before this planet Earth came up, because it is said to be 4,500 million years ago that the Earth came up along with the Sun. But the life existed before that even. So where did it exist, how it was preserved, etc. is mentioned in Pratisarga aspect of Puranas. So Puranas deal with Sarga and Pratisarga. So that's the brief meaning of Sarga and Pratisarga. And then also the record of history of Manvantaras and Kalpas. There have been countless kalpas so far. One kalpa is 1 day of Brahma, the four-faced deity. And Brahma is said to be 51 in the 51st year of his age. His 51st year. That means 50 years of his have gone past. Each of the year comprising of 360 kalpas are over. So 360 into 50. So many kalpas have gone past. So you can imagine the records are maintained in Puranas. Manvantara is a period that spans for 71 chaturyugas, 71 mahayugas. One mahayuga is 43.20 lakhs of years. That is 4.32 million years. Is the span of one chaturyuga. And one Manvantara consists of 71 chaturyugas. So 4.32 million into 71 is the span of one Manvantara. Now we are in the 7th Manvantara of Shvetavaraha Kalpa. 6 Manvantaras have elapsed. So the history, the Vangsha, of the dynasties who ruled over, all those are recorded in Puranas. And therefore, the Puranas have great value resources, whereby human being can really find some lighthouses which should be guiding the conduct of life. Then that is the one that those values are such that they give you Abhyudaya and Nishreyasa. Abhyudaya means well-being, wellness here, and Nishreyasa means eternal well-being and wellness. So all these are passed on to us through Puranas and Itihasa. So Itihasa and Purana were major subjects of academic pursuits until the modern education that came in, which was brought in by the British rulers. But until that time, we had our traditional teachings. Itihas Puran is still continuing to be there for us to study. Although they are not part of traditional academics, one can really avail of those, and they avail of the wisdom that is available in Itihas and Purana. And therefore, Satcharit, Sadachar, Sadvichar is continuing, although in very sparse proportions, yet it is available. So it gives rise to Astikya Buddhi, Daivi Sampada, Satcharitam, and that is how the eternal wisdom is still there. Coming to Veda Upanishads, again Upanishads are available, Vedas are available. If one is interested, one can look into Vedas. They are not extinct. Upanishads are there, Vedas are there. And Vedas and Upanishads have three kandas, that is three aspects in them. Jnana Kanda, Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda. Now that is particularity and typicality of the Vedic culture. There is Jnana Kanda, Karma Kanda and Upasana Kanda. And there we get the roots and seeds of the concept of Adi Bhautik Srushti, Adi Daivik constitution and Adhyatmic substrate. That is called Adi Bhautik Srushti, Adi Daivik Sangatana, Adhyatmic Adhishthan. And that really is what is sought after in truth seeking. The Brahmopasana, Devadevotopasana, Shakti Upasana, all these are thriving because of the parampara that we have. And the Swadhyaya is preserving all this. Those who are in Swadhyaya, they try to preserve all these things and they pass it on, and they have been passed on to us today. So that is what is another meaning of Swadhyaya that we can arrive at. So by such Swadhyaya, Patanjali tells us it is Ishta Devata Samprayoga. That is association, contact, hotline perhaps with one's personal deity. Then of course the bounty knows no bounds, no limits. So Swadhyaya, if you render it very literally, it means self-study. It is study about oneself. And to study about oneself or self-study is not standing in front of the mirror, nor have a set of our MRIs and just look into our MRIs, X-rays and MRIs, the insights, mechanical insights. That is not the self-study. The self-study is by our Shastras. The self-study is by whatever Shastras are available. Darshana Shastra, Veda Shastra, Itihas Purana, Vedanta Shastra, Sankhya Shastra, Dharma Shastra, Gita Shastra. The Shastras which are available today are actually study of oneself. It doesn't mean that for self-study one should stand in front of the mirror or go on collecting one's own MRIs, X-rays, scans, which are pathological insights or insights for pathological purpose given by radiology. Such radiological insight doesn't give you slightest clue about who you are and how you are and what you are. So the Shastras give this insight, and therefore self-study means study of our Shastras. And the study is not just study of books. As you are aware of this, there is Satsanga, there is Sadhana Sangha, there is Shastra Sangha. So merely studying Shastras is not the way. The Shastras divulge something which is called as Sadhana. Sthula Sharira Sadhana, Sukshma Sharira Sadhana, Karana Sharira Sadhana, Shariratraya Sadhana, that's Sadhana. And of course Satsanga, Shravana Sadhana, Satsanga, hearing about the eternal wisdom. So that is what is Swadhyaya. But not to forget that Swadhyaya also includes one more facet which is Patanjali mentioning, he highlights it. It is Devata Upasana, Devatopasana. So it will be very apt to consider the Swadhyaya of the nature of Devatopasana. So the Swadhyaya has certain facets like Pranavadi Pavitra Mantra Japa is Swadhyaya. Moksha Shastranam Adhyanam is Swadhyaya. But Patanjali also highlights Devatopasana as Swadhyaya. Ishta, that is obviously Ishta Devatopasana, because one will be inclined to carry out Upasana, worship form of Ishta Devata, personal deity. So Patanjali is also mentioning. So in classical yoga, there is something called as Devatopasana, and it is of the nature of Ishta Devatopasana. Later one can also carry out Devatopasana. So there are three facets of Swadhyaya. So one should underline this. Moksha Shastra Adhyanam, Pavitra Mantra Japa, and Ishta Devatopasana. These are the three aspects which are counted in Swadhyaya. Again, you should know that if there are Pavitra mantras, the mantras pertain to Deva Devatas. And that's how it assists Devatopasana. You know Pavitra mantra, the Omkara Pranava. Pranava is the mantra. That is also the nomenclature or denoter of divinity. And then there are so many other mantras which are like Gayatri mantra, etc. There is Gayatri mantra. There is 33 crores of devatas and their mantras. The Ashtavasu, Ekadasha Rudra, Dwadashaditya, Ashwini Kumara and Indra Prajapati. So there are mantras to all these deities. So the mantra japa, then the mantras are also used in yajna, because Veda Dharma is yajna pradhana dharma. There are ahutis, there are offerings made to Deva Devatas. Deva Devata Archanam, Deva Devata Pujanam. So this is how the Devatopasana is carried out. It should be noted here that the Deva Devata Vichar, the thought or concept of deities, semi-deities, demi-deities by the Vedikas is really adorable. It is also good for mankind. Different devatas can grace you if you worship them. That's how your life would become meaningful, fruitful. And these mantras are also used in Jnana Sadhana, Yajna Sadhana, Karma Upasana. So these are also mentioned by our wisdom of the Lord as to how to get Jnana, what is Jnana and how to acquire Jnana, what is Karma and how to engage oneself in Karma, what is Yajna and how to engage with Yajna, what is Upasana and how to engage oneself in Upasana. All these are given by the ancient wisdom. The Shastras mention all the modus operandi to take up all these pursuits. So that is what the Vedic Dharma is. It is Apaurusheya. It is Sanatana. It is Anadi. It is not given by a messenger, it is not given by a human being, it is apaurushaya. So anyway, this is not the place to discuss that is what is paurushaya and apaurushaya. Vedas are apaurushaya. It is not given by any mankind. They are revealed by rishis. So this is unique signature condition of Veda Dharma and Vaidika Dharma, because it has been timeless. The entire creation is constituted by these deities. These are not just deities to be worshipped, but these are the deities which are constituting the whole creation. Phenomenal to nominal, gross to subtle, terrestrial to celestial and beyond. So they are the constituents. That's why it is called Adi Daivika Sangatanam. The whole creation is constituted by celestial forces. And those celestial forces have become celestial deities. And then they are worshipped as deities, although they are just celestial powers. And then there is Adhyatma, which is Adhyatmika. Ishwariya Anishthanam, Brahma Anishthanam, Brahmi Adhyatmanam. So that's the substrate. And therefore there is puja, archa, upasana, anushtan to all these deities, semi-deities, demi-deities and the final deity, Brahman. So Patanjali is also mentioning that one should go for Devatanugraha, that is the grace of Devatas, and therefore also mentions Devata Samparkam, hotline with the deities. Then understand the grade of one's life when it is graced by celestial forces. And the celestial forces are superhuman forces. So, with their contact and hotline, the Swadhyaya becomes enormously powerful. And then it opens one to the fundamental questions in philosophy, and also helps one to seek answers. The questions are such as, what are these questions with regards to oneself? Who am I? Why am I? Whence am I? So from where have I come? Where am I going? And what is all around me? How did I come here? Why will I be going elsewhere? Where should I be going elsewhere? What is all this around me? Why is this all around me? And from where has this come? So these are philosophical questions, basic questions, fundamental questions in spiritual pursuit. And Swadhyaya gives answers. And complete answers will be given by Devatanugraha, by one's own personal deity. It graces the devotee and gives answers to these questions. And it also tells us about the reality about this creation, what is called as Adi Daivika Srushti, Adi Daivika Sangatanam, which is so important in metaphysical inquiry. The Devatas also grace us with certain celestial qualities, which is so important for our pursuit. Now these Devatas, again see, wonderful scheme has given to us. The Ishta Devata Upasana means what? What will one do as Ishta Devata Upasana? If you have personal deity, what are you supposed to do as Upasana? It is not just believing in that deity, worshipping the deity, doing namaskar to deity, remembering the deity often. What is the Upasana? So, that format also has been given. That format traditionally is called Panchanga Sevanam. So each devata is worshipped, and there are 5 facets, 5 dimensions to this upasana. What are these? The kavacha of devata, the stavana of devata, the hrudayam of devata, the gita of the devata, and sahasranam of the devata. So the tradition has provided all these things. Kavacham, stavanam, hrudayam, gita, sahasranama. These are 5 factors and aspects for devata upasana, ishta devata upasana. And this is technically called Panchanga Sevanam, because it is 5-limbed, it is Panchanga. So these must be part of one's pathanam, pathanam, vachanam, shravanam, mananam, chintanam, nididhyasanam. So this is what has been given by our tradition, that with regards to the Panchangas, Kavacha, Stavana, Hrudaya, Gita, Sahasranam, these must be known by heart. They must be chanted, they must be recited, and they must be heard about. So one must read and one must hear about. So that is what is expected in Devata Upasana. See, otherwise we materialistic, mundane people, we do Upasana for what purpose? It is very, very a kind of material purpose for which we do it. Ulterior motives are there. What are these? Ishta prapti, anishta nivrutti, dhanadhanya samruddhi, putra pautra prapti, arogya dirgha yushya swasthya prapti, manashanti. This is why we are doing upasanas, and we can be doing upasanas. So that means it entails love or bhakti for Ishta Devata and blooming and blossoming of bhakti for Ishta Devata. But in Yoga Sadhana, it has much more meaning. It is not just done for ulterior purposes such as Ishta Prapti, that means attain desirable. Anishta Nivrutti, that means avoid undesirable. Dhanadhanya Samruddhi, that means have sufficient riches with regards to dhanadhanyam, the food that we eat. Then the dhana means money and wealth. So attaining the money, wealth and the riches. That is why we do upasana when we are so practical minded. Then putra pautra prapti, to be blessed with progeny, not only children but even grandchildren. Arogya dirghayushya swasthya prapti. Arogyam means good health. Dirghayu means long life. Swasthya means wellness and well-being. And manashanti, this is why the worldly people, mundane people carry out upasanas. But in yoga it is carried out for self-study. The purpose is self-study. So the upasana would give ihapara laukika sukha samruddhi. But yogi doesn't expect this. Because unless you set this aside, you won't attain higher returns. If you are seeking the lower returns, the higher returns keep themselves away. So yoga sadhaka should not be keeping ulterior motives like prapanchika, samsarika, vaiyaktika, kautumbika, labha, attaining some advantages and profits and gains for worldly life, family life, worldly life, mundane life, individual life, personal life and family life. As long as these gravities are working, higher gravities won't operate. They will be secondary things. The pradhana hetu is understanding oneself. As I gave you the list of subjectivistic questions, who am I, whence am I, why I am, from where I am, etc., to where I am, etc. So those are the questions which are in pursuit. So that is what the Swadhyaya here means. Now let's try to understand Deva Devatas and how they are related to. What is the relationship of we on the planet and Deva Devatas? But this we will consider in our next session. Enough for the time being. Namaskar all of you.